All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Gods of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is book number 2 in his John Carter of Mars series, or I guess he calls it the Martian Tales. I don't know what the series is called, but let me just tell you, it was written a hella long time ago. These books, this one specifically, was written in 1913, as were all 10 of these books written in the early 1900s. I've got all 10 of them here. You can see they look pretty nifty on the shelf. Now, if you want to watch my review of book number 1, The Princess of Mars, just type in my last name, Durfee, into your YouTube search bar, and then type in Princess of Mars, and that YouTube book review will magically appear through some sort of strange sorcery onto your computer screen or your television screen or your phone or whatever it is you're using to look at internet stuff. Anyway, this is book number 1. This is book number 2. Like I said, came out in 1913. Now, these covers that I have, this set, all 10 books have covers painted by Michael Whelan, my favorite fantasy and science fiction artist of all time. And these are dope. This one is dope. Michael Whelan does a great job of depicting the characters and the alien creatures as they appear in the book. So what is John Carter of Mars about? What is the God of Mars about? Well, in book number 1, The Princess of Mars, we meet John Carter in the Arizona desert. It almost starts out as a Western novel, and then he goes into a cave in the Arizona desert and is whisked away by some sort of magic to Mars. And there he has an adventure in Mars and meets a lot of characters. And then at the end of that book, well, spoilery for the end of that book, he comes back to Earth. Now, in 1886, John Carter is praying along the banks of the Hudson River. He's no longer in Arizona. He's in the banks of the Hudson River. He's praying that he can go back to Mars. He longs for the time he spent in Mars. And it seems like it was about 20 years ago between book 1 and book 2, like at least Earth time. So he's praying to go back to Mars. He misses it. And lo and behold, he is whisked off to Mars again. But instead of the desert-like, dune-like planet of book number 1 that he visited, this time he's kind of dropped into a lush jungle kind of forest area of Mars that's way different from what he discovered. He immediately discovers that he's super strong and super athletic on Mars because of the gravity and everything. You know, all he has to do is jump a little bit and he just sails off through the air because of the gravity. And so he's kind of got these Superman-esque unnatural, supernatural powers just due to the physics and gravity of Mars, which lets me kind of speak toward just the inventiveness of Edgar Rice Burroughs back in the early 1900s, before we knew anything about space travel, before we knew much about astronomy and because we hadn't sent any rockets or cameras to Mars that landed on there and took photos. But just the inventiveness of Edgar Rice Burroughs and coming up with different landscapes, different things that are going on in Mars, and especially the different creatures. Just very inventive for the time that it was written in. I don't think a lot of people back in the early 1900s were thinking about space exploration or what might be on other planets or what kind of alien creatures might be there, or even thinking about what they might look like. But Edgar Rice Burroughs surely was. So John Carter is whisked off to Mars. He's in this. He immediately meets these blue aliens, and the blue aliens are depicted here on the cover. There's a big battle, a big fight, and in comes Tarkus, one of the main characters from the first book kind of gathers up John Carter from Mars from this battle. Things are going bad. Of course, there's got to be war on Mars. But anyway, he gets involved again with a lot of the characters from the first book. I don't want to spoil too much other than this is dynamic. If you want to see what really good prose is like, and it's a little quirky, it's a little weird, it's a little bit Zane Grey-ish if you've ever watched any of my Zane Grey Western novels, book reviews, which were written about the same time as these in the early 1900s. The language is a little the same, but it's also beautiful. I think the writers of this day and age were taking a little more time to make their prose a little purple and flowery, which I kind of like. I like that style and panache. But anyway, on the back it says, "Return to peril. After the long exile on Earth, John Carter finally returned to his beloved Mars. But beautiful Deha Thoris, the woman he loved, had vanished. Now he was trapped in the legendary Eden of Mars, an Eden from which none ever escaped alive." It's a good book. It's a good book. It's these books, like I said, I can't, and maybe I'm just being naive, or maybe I'm just being 21st century arrogant to think that I would know more than this guy would know about what it would be like to write science fiction. But clearly this guy gets it. This guy in 1913 was writing some dope in science fiction novels that hold up today. And I give this a solid 8.5 out of 10.